Actually, before I even ask that question, I do want to ask you, what tempted you guys to even want to do a documentary about a candidate, a left-leaning candidate out of a country most people in the U.S. don't talk about, especially Latin America?
Yeah. So when this came about, because Bhaskar Sunkara, founder and president of Jacobin, he always has all kinds of contacts all over the left, all over the world, right? Like he's constantly talking to left-wing leaders and wherever they may be, and it's one of the great things about Jacobin and about Bhaskar. And he was pretty tight with a lot of the people on the left in Ecuador, especially a guy named Guillaume Long, who is a very kind of smart and cool left wing politician in Ecuador, and the opportunity arose to basically embed with the campaign of Andrés Arauz, who had won a kind of stunning victory in the first round of the elections and was the heavy favorite to win the general election. And we thought, how cool would it be to get in on the ground, be inside the campaign, and see, hopefully, what a real left-wing political victory can look like from the inside. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But it's hard to overstate. Like everyone assumed, even the right, even the mainstream media in America, everyone at the time assumed Arauz was going to win. So we just thought it would be very interesting to see what that looks like inside a campaign in Latin America, where I think the battle lines of politics are much clearer than in the United States. Like in the United States, political fights, everyone talks about like how polarized politics are here, but really they're a lot more muddled. Whereas in Latin America, there's like a left, there's a right, and they battle head on, whereas in the United States, there's much more of a kind of a consensus around neoliberalism, for lack of a better term, and then the fights are about other stuff. Whereas in Latin America, they're about the real substantive issues. So yeah, that was the genesis of the project.
And how hard was it for you guys, if you don't want to answer this question, that's fine, to get funding for something like this? Because I know, when we're talking about certain kinds of documentaries, people definitely want to open up the pocketbook for it. But around the time you guys did it was like right after the George Floyd moment. So, had you gone to sub-Saharan Africa, maybe somebody would have cared. Maybe if you went to like an urban part of Baltimore. But you guys decided to go to Latin America when these brown people weren't in vogue. What was it hard to get people that want to be a part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any political documentary, certainly any radical political documentary, is a labor of love in the best of times. It's never a money-making enterprise. It never has been, and probably never will be. And so we obviously we actually just worked with Jacobin, and the funding came from Jacobin, but we just kept the costs incredibly low. I mean, it was everyone was working at a vastly reduced rate. We were lean and mean, and our director Hector Muniente, who's a Spanish guy, a friend of mine, very smart political mind and an incredible filmmaker. Really, he was just a believer, and he wanted to see the victory, and so he did an incredible job on a very, very shoestring budget. So yeah, it wasn't we didn't have Netflix or HBO or any of these people knocking on our doors waiting to give us millions of dollars to make a documentary about a radical leftist in Latin America. That's just never gonna please the capitalist mind.
Unless he was doing something evil, right?
Yes, that's a good call. If we were the anti Arauz documentary, we may have gotten some funding from like the Peter Thiel Network or something.
Oh, they would have gave you so much money. God, you would have got so much money.
I know.
And there's no way you could have spun it either. There's no
do you guys ever wonder? Do you ever think about just flipping on the other side and turning on the money spigot? It would be a funny. I've always thought a funny documentary would be to do like a kind of reverse James O'Keefe. Like if you, Jason, decided, you know, like you're going to become a fake conservative and just started, you know, getting all the money and going on Fox News and all that stuff and just doing that for a year, documenting it all from the inside. That's a good pitch.
Oof. You know, no.
Then you could come back, you know,
The closest I ever, I don't, I can't, you know, I can't, I couldn't do it because I couldn't wear the mask that long. At some point, I'd be like, as Pascal says, you guys are on some Chuckleberry bullshit. This